Hello class and welcome to week 1 of computer applications. I'm going to walk through the week 1 assignment with you. As I scroll down in the week 1 section of our course, I will see things such as my to-do list for the week, what our objectives are for week 1, the reading assignments, the video resources, and an active learning assignment to walk through to enhance and reinforce the skill sets. As I continue to scroll down, you'll see your assignment, a project for a brief memo. And we'll see that we have an embedded video for the assignment here in the course. It's important to note that you have an actual grading rubric to review. What does that mean to you? Well, if you right-click on this link and select Save Link As, you can select a save location on your computer where you want to save the document, and then once you click on Save, you'll be able to launch and open this grading rubric in Microsoft Word. Now this is important because this could be your checklist for your assignments to make sure you have every single one of these criteria completed for grading purposes. So it's very important to use this as your assignment checklist. Now back in our course navigation, we will see there are 13 steps for our week 1 assignment. Let's start with step number 1. We're going to download the Project Brief Memo Word document. You can just right-click and save link as, and just as before, select a save location on your computer, noting where you're saving it, and simply click on Save. Then once you open that assignment, we'll start walking through each one of the course assignment directions. In step 2, we want to replace the professor name with your actual professor's name. So here you'll actually just highlight with your cursor over the existing text and simply just start typing. On the next step of our assignment, we want to replace your name by again selecting it and typing right over it. So you'll highlight your name and you'll actually type your name in here. And on the next assignment, step 4, we're going to replace the current date with today's date. So in my case, I'm just going to put in what today's date is. But you want to make sure that this date is correct for the day that you complete the assignment. And back in our directions on step 5, we're going to cut paragraph 5 and paste it in the space between paragraphs 2 and 3. Let's walk through that. As I look here at my memo, I see that I have paragraph 1. I see that I have paragraph 2. And here we see paragraph 3. And this is considered paragraph 4. And here's paragraph 5. Now there are 2 different ways that I can copy and paste. Well, one's the traditional way. I can use Control-C to copy on my keyboard and Control-V to paste. Or when I simply do a left click and highlight all of my text, in the ribbon on the Home tab, I can simply select Copy and Paste options here. So here I could cut, and then after paragraph 2, my cursor insertion point is at the end of paragraph 2. I can hit the Enter key on my keyboard, and on my ribbon, I can select Paste. Now I just need to make sure my spacing is back in alignment. Now that's one way. Let me show you another way to do this. So if I want to move paragraph 5 between paragraphs 2 and 3 here, I can simply highlight the text that I want to move, and by holding down the left mouse click on my cursor, I'm going to drag my cursor to the insertion point where I want to move this paragraph. When I release my left click of my cursor, you'll see paragraph 5 is now moved here after paragraph 2. So I just did a drag and drop to move that paragraph. You can practice that. It's a good skill to know. As I look back on my assignment directions for step number 6, we're going to convert that paragraph that just says Internet, Library, and Journals, and we're going to make it a bullet list. Well, when we look at this paragraph of these 3 words here, when I want to make them a bullet list, I'll have my insertion point at the location where I want the bullet to be. In this case, in front of I for Internet. On my Home tab, I can see I have these different groups or panels. The clipboard grouping, the font group, the paragraph group. I also have styles and editing. On the paragraph grouping, when I hover my cursor over any one of the items, the tooltips will display and let me know what that item is. Well, here I see the tooltip for bullets. You'll see the drop-down arrow next to it, and it gives me different options for bullet points I can add. In this case, I'm going to select a simple circular bullet. So my bullet is added, and for my next bullet of my list, I want to bring library down. And I simply just press the Enter key. And now I want to bring the word journal down. Again, I simply press the Enter key. You will note here after the word Internet, there's a comma hanging there, that I'm going to use the backspace key on my keyboard to remove that additional comma that's hanging out there after the word Internet and library. So when I am actually completing this, you will see that my bullets are not of the same alignment. You see how they're all juggled up here? We'll get to that in just a moment. Looking back at my assignment directions, I'm going to now look to run spelling and grammar. And so in Word, when I run spelling and grammar, I have an option for Review tab. And in the Review tab, in the Proofing group, here is Spelling and Grammar. When I run Spelling and Grammar, on the right-hand side, any words that have misspelling or maybe a grammar issue will appear. Here I see in the first instance the word purpose is misspelled, and there are some options. You need to pay attention though, because sometimes you might not select the right options, so you need to make sure you also proofread your work as well. So that's the change that I want, and I'll select Change. And now I see colleagues is also has a red wavy line indicating that there's a spelling issue. So here are my options in how I want to adjust colleagues. And then I can click on Change. In my case, it now tells me what my word count is, how many characters, how many paragraphs, sentences, etc. We'll talk about the readability statistics later. You may not show this readability statistics in your example, but we'll discuss that. Now that I've run spelling and grammar, when we look at step number 8 of our assignment, we want to align all of our paragraphs so that they're left aligned. So when I look at my assignment, and I do note that these are all centered, they're not left aligned. If I simply hold down my left click with my mouse and highlight all of the content on the Home tab in the paragraph group, when I hover my cursor over the tools, I'll see the tooltips display, and I'm looking for Align Left. I'll select Align Left, and you'll see that now all of my content is aligned to the left-hand side of my page, including my bullet points are now in a nice, clean, orderly line. Looking back at our assignment directions in step number 9, we want to change the font to be Times New Roman. And in step 10, we're going to want our font to be 12 points. So let's look at changing that now. I'll select all of my text on my memo. When I do select all of my text, you'll see that I have the quick toolbar that appears here. And I can do the adjustment here to my font size and my font style, or I could also look on the Home tab in the font group, and I can make the adjustments there as well. So I want my font to be 12 point, and I also know that I want it to be Times New Roman. I'm going to just start typing TIM for Times New Roman until I see it populate in my list. Otherwise, you could use the scroll bar and scroll through the fonts until you locate the Times New Roman font. So select that. Now my font is all uniform and consistent to be 12 point Times New Roman. Looking back at our assignment direction, in step number 11, we want to set the page margin so it's 1 inch on the left, 1 inch from the right, 1 inch from the top, and 1 inch from the bottom. Let's walk through that together. As I look at the Page Layout tab, in the Page Setup group, there is a drop-down arrow for margins. I can look at one that's predefined, or I can actually select Custom Margins. When I do select Custom Margins, I have a pop-up dialog box. And here's where I can set the margins specifically by adjusting the up and down arrows, or I can simply highlight it and just type in the margin size that I want. So I'm looking at 1 inch from the top, the bottom, the left, and the right. So I'll simply make those adjustments here now. You'll note I have other options to change it from portrait to landscape, or horizontal to vertical. And now I'm going to select OK. Now my margins are all adjusted in uniform, but you can see on my ruler, now I'm adjusted in accordingly from the left-hand side to the right, the top, and the bottom. All of my margins are set consistent. As I look at step number 12 here, I simply need to save my document. And after I save it, I'll upload it to Dropbox. To save it, we'll simply click here on a file. Select Save As. I'll need to select a save location. Well, it's a good habit to get into actually creating folders to keep all of your classwork in. Now, let me show you what I mean by that quickly. I'm going to just, for the sake of this video, on my desktop, I'm going to right click and select New and Folder. And I'm simply going to name this folder CGS 2060. You might even want to call it Computer Applications. Inside this folder, I'll double click. I don't have anything inside because I just made the folder. I'm going to right click again, and this time I'm going to select New Folder. And I'm just going to call this Week 1. So this will just be everything I want for Week 1 in this one folder. I will eventually go on to right click and select New Folder, and I'll end up typing in for Week 2. And then I'll have a folder for each week of our class. Now how this is important is when I'm going to now save my Word document and I go to File, Save As, I will locate that folder and I will know that I'm in this course folder and for Week 1. I have my project name, but I most certainly want to always include my name. So you'll want to type your name and the week to keep your work organized, and I want to see students' names on all of the assignment documents. Then you can select Save. Now my file is saved here with my name and the week number. You'll next want to return back to our course website and click on Dropbox. When you click on Dropbox, you'll want to then upload and attach the Week 1 individual assignment. Again, making sure your name is on that assignment document. Remember, you need to use Microsoft Word for this assignment, and your file does need to be a file extension of .docx. Don't forget, Before you actually submit your assignment, use the grading rubric and go through each one of the steps to make sure you've met the criteria. I look forward to seeing some great Week 1 assignments.